Welcome to week 2 of Mapping and Development. Our objective this week is to have an understanding of the different types of maps people use and how to interpret a basic topographical map. This lesson will cover types of maps, map symbols, how to read a map, and basic map reading exercises. This week you will need a ruler, pencil and pen or colored pencils, journal and graph paper, a compass if you have one, and finally Google Earth. Google Earth is a free download that you can obtain online. Make sure to download this onto your tablet before continuing this lesson. The following slide, slide 3, is a worksheet you can use to write down the definitions for each map term I discuss. It is important to know these definitions so that you can talk to the people you are working with about maps. Please follow along with my explanation and complete the worksheet for your own use. You can also write down the definitions in your journal if you would like. All of these terms are defined at the website www.worldatlas.com. You can use this for your future reference. The definitions on slide 3 start with map scale. Map scale shows the distance on the map as it relates to the actual distance on the Earth. Contour lines are an imaginary line on the ground which is all the same distance from the datum. Usually this datum is at sea level or 0. Elevation. The vertical distance of a point above or below the datum. This again is usually sea level and is written as ASL or above sea level. Grid lines. A network of uniformly spaced parallel lines on a map. These lines intersect at right angles and can be used to locate a point on the map. Latitude. A line which measures distance north and south of the equator and is written as degrees, minutes, and seconds on a map. Longitude. Lines which run perpendicular to latitude lines and start from an imaginary 0-degree line in Greenwich, England. UTMs. The full name is Universal Transverse Mercator. This is a military grid system which divides the entire Earth into equal meter squares. Map coordinates. A way of writing a location on the map which shows the exact place referred to. Coordinates can be written as UTMs or in latitude longitude. 9. Map symbols. A picture or drawing which represents a place or an object on a map. A compass rose is a drawing on a map which shows the 4 cardinal directions: north, east, south, and west. A map projection is a way of representing the Earth on a flat piece of paper. When cartographers do this, it distorts the actual size and shape of continents. For fun, look up 2 common projections, Mercator and Peters. How are these 2 projections different? Do you think these distortions might change the way we think about a certain place? Like, for example, Africa or the United States? It might help you to write down your thoughts about this in your journals. Legend. This is a place on a map which defines what the symbols used actually mean. For example, a blue line might represent a river or a stream, or a cross might be used to represent a Christian church or a Christian cemetery. Moving on now to slides 4 to 9. These show the different kinds of maps you might find. On slide 4, we see a topographical map. This type of map uses lines which are labeled with a number to represent elevation. The bold lines are labeled, and the lighter lines represent points at an equal distance between each bold line. Pause the audio lecture now and try to answer the bonus question found on slide 4. On slide 5, we see an example of a standard street map. In this example, we are looking at a street map of Beijing. What does this map tell us about Beijing? What is at the middle of all the major streets? Can this urban design tell us one thing that is important about the city? Take a moment to write down your thoughts in your journal. Slide 6 shows a marine chart. Slide 6 is an example of a marine chart and is a little different from a topographical map because it shows us the depth of the ocean floor at different points. If we could draw a line between all of the same numbers on this chart, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, etc., we would have a map that is like a topographical map, which shows us the depth instead of the elevations. 0 is still considered the datum used to determine these depths. Slide 7 shows a chloropleth map. This map of Afghanistan uses blocks of different colors, also called polygons, to represent the different languages spoken in the country. This is an important type of map because we can use statistics to compare the different colors and find out what the percentages are of the languages spoken in Afghanistan. We can use these polygons to represent anything we want to find out about a place. On slide 8, we see an example of an indigenous map. Many indigenous people around the world have made maps of where they live, which don't look like the maps we already talked about. In this example, on slide 8, we see a picture made by Aborigines in Australia. Some people might think this is just a painting, but this is actually a map. The circles are places to get water in the desert, and the wavy lines represent a story about the travels of an important ancestor. We don't have a compass rose or a legend on this map to explain what it means. Instead, we have to learn what this picture means by having an elder explain it to us. This is very important because the communities we work with might not always be able to explain what is important to them by showing us on a traditional map sheet. Think about some of the ways we make maps about our lives which are different from a typical map. Do you have stories or photographs in your family which help you understand your community and where you live? What are some of these stories? Pause the lecture now and take some time to write in your journal about some of the ways you or your family map the place you live. On slide 9, we see a mental map. This shows a map drawn by a child in Tanzania after the place they lived was destroyed in a flood. This is an example of a mental map and can be used by people helping communities in development projects. These maps help us to understand the things which are most important to the people in a community. On slide 10, we have our first exercise for the week. Follow the instructions shown on slide 10 now. You may either submit this assignment this week or hold on to it and submit it to the instructor at the end of the course. If you are able to, it would be best to submit this week so that I can offer you feedback about it. This will help you with your next assignments. On slide 11, we find exercise 2. Complete assignment 2 on slide 11 now. If you need any help on this, please email me or post your questions on the discussion board. Refer to the map on slide 12 to complete this assignment. Slides 13 and 14 are meant for your own enjoyment. You do not have to submit anything for these slides. Finally, make sure to post on the discussion board for the questions on slide 15. I look forward to discussing the final project options for this course with you next week.